Hey everyone, it's your boy, your favorite gentleman, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today I am excited. I'm excited to have this gentleman, a brother who's been making waves in the acting industry. He is profound. Mr. Romaine Waite was born in Montego Bay, Jamaica, and raised in Canada. He has discovered his passion for performing early on through his high school drama, but at first he's now doing independent film and solidifying his foothold on this industry. He's done everything from Star Trek Discovery, Departure, Schitt's Creek, the Clark Sisters, even been on Diva's Christmas Carol, produced by Idris Elba's Green Door Pictures for VH1. This man is making waves, and I love it. I love when brothers are changing the game and paving the way, because we need to see more of us. We need to see more of us succeeding. We need to see more of us winning, and we need to see ourselves in spaces that we never thought of before. That's how you become. That's how you change the world for the better. And so today, this man is blessing the stage, Mr. Romaine Waite, coming to Gentleman Style Podcast stage to share some of his stories, some insights, some industry secrets. We'll see how much tea we can get out of this conversation. But help me welcome to the stage. I can't hold this phenomenal brother back, Mr. Romaine Waite, today.
Hey, Marcus, man, how you doing?
How you doing? I'm doing fantastic, brother. It is an honor to host you. It's an honor for you to make space and time for us today on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I can't thank you enough. You are phenomenal, brother. So thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man, after that intro. But before we get into any of that, I have to give you your props too. You're a brother doing your thing with your podcast, bringing positivity, faith, and influence to the world in a very good way. And your podcast title says it all, God, family, finance, and self, and I think those are some important things that we as brothers got to talk about on a consistent basis. So shout out to you as well, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. We're giving flowers today. We're giving flowers today. This is what happens when two brothers with their quarter zip comes online.
No, this is not even the quarter zip. This is the full, bro. This is the full.
Okay. That's dope. Brother, you are inspiring young men across the globe. And you are truly encouraging. You've encouraged me and helped me see that we are more than the label society tries to place on us and the box that other people try and put us in. I want to ask, where did it start for you? When did you realize you had the gift for performance? When did you realize you had a talent for entertainment and now being the face in numerous facets, numerous genres, numerous films? When did it go off for you?
Wow. You're taking it way back. Listen, it's one of those things where you don't recognize what you have until much later. That was my situation. I was a fun student to have in the class. Let's just put it that way. And the teachers love to have me there. And I would always facilitate jokes and games and a good time in the classroom. Not at the best time, but it was a good time. And so it wasn't until much later, I think it was in high school, that what the English teacher actually invited me to audition for one of the school plays, which was new to me. I hadn't really been involved in that, besides maybe a couple photo shoots or things like that my parents had put me in much earlier. But in terms of like the drama and the acting perspective, it didn't come till much later, and the drama class was what did it for me.
Absolutely. I want, this is necessary. I want to stick right here for one more minute. How has your upbringing, your influences, external influences, mom, dad, family, how has that built onto who you are today in the entertainment and film industry? Because you
Wow.
don't also act, you're also a part of the filmmaking process.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, that's such an elaborate answer, and I'm trying to think about how I can, break that down into a smaller piece. I mean, first of all, my parents have always supported me in the sense of identifying that, I had talent, I had skill. Um, mind you, as an immigrant family, it was always about academics, first of all. So the acting industry or the entertainment industry was secondary. So it was like, you got to go to school, and then you can figure that other stuff out afterwards. But no fault to them at all. It's just, you don't know what you don't know. So that area was unfamiliar to them. But just in terms of the character building, that's something that they very much had their hand in, whether through faith, whether through discipline. I had to do them chores, but all of those things that in the moment you might not have appreciated or have liked or understood, but then in hindsight you look back and you go, "Oh my gosh, thank you." Thank you for bringing me to church on a weekly basis. Thank you for forcing me to read my Bible. Thank you for teaching me how to be financially literate. All of these things come into play later on when you have context and you go, ah, this is what they were talking about. So, yes, all of those things aren't necessarily connected to my acting and my career, but they all support it in a very, very big way.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Romaine Waite, spilling the tea on Gentleman Style Podcast Show today, helping us get behind the scenes. I consider this behind the scenes for movie terms, but this is huge. Shout out to your family, to mom and dad, and for
Oh, for
everything that
sure.
has culminated to who you are today, because you are a representation of us, and I'll say you are killing it, brother. You're
I'm
absolutely
trying, man. I'm trying.
what the industry, the entertainment industry over the past several, at least the last decade, has not been favorable, and especially you're young, right? And so young actors have not fared well. When you look back at the Bill Cosby situations and all those actors and all those prominent people, Bill Cosby, P Diddy, all this stuff. The cast of Family Matters, right? Everybody has gone and faced their own challenges in this industry. How do you stay grounded in
Mm,
an industry that's constantly pulling and pushing you to
mm.
do different things and expose you to different things? How do you level out? How do you prepare for a role?
You challenging me today, man.
I'm so-
You know, early on, I was very open and willing to explore creatively different things, different avenues. And it's only through time that I was able to build up my confidence and my awareness of who I wanted to be as an artist. And thankfully, I wasn't placed in any, you know, um, questionable circumstances or spaces, but just through observation of other individuals and kind of being in the room and being in certain spaces where I was able to go, okay, I don't like that. Oh, okay, I'm not going to do that. I don't really feel like that's for me. And so thankfully, I was able to develop that artistic integrity, where I was able to identify who I was as an artist, the type of stories that I wanted to tell, and most importantly, the type of artist that I wanted to be. And I think a big part of that, truthfully, is just being grounded in faith. A lot of this industry is fickle. Things come and go. Opportunities are presented and then they're taken away. So I've learned not to put my focus, or as they say, all your eggs in one basket, in the sense of living on hope and the idea that someone else has your career in their hands, and just maintained my faith. And then while I'm maintaining my faith, I'm also creating as well. I'm writing. I'm doing other things that facilitate my creative mindset, so that when the opportunity does come, I'm prepared and I'm whole as an individual, and I can offer that to whatever project comes my way.
and we need you. We need you to stay whole. We need you to stay grounded. So all the vibes, all the woo woo, all the
Yeah.
good things come your way and continue to come your way, brother. Um, how do you prepare differently
Yes.
for a sci-fi role like Star Trek Discovery
Yeah.
versus a grounded drama like Departure? How do you prepare for those types of, because those are big swings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was big swings for sure. Opposite ends of the spectrum. Believe it or not, Star Trek, in terms of preparation, was a little bit, for lack of a better word, easier because it already came with such a rich history. It already
Mm,
came with a fan base. It already came with a world. So you were simply, or I was simply tasked to, find my way in that world. The character that I had the privilege to play was on the ship and interacting with some of the other shipmates, and it was just one of these things where because the sets were so elaborate and the details were there and everyone was on their game, it was really easy honestly to get lost in that world, truthfully. Sometimes I had to catch myself. I had a lot of scenes with Sonequa Martin Green. Shout out to her, phenomenal actress. I caught myself just watching her, just like, yo, okay, uh-huh, Romaine, it's you. Oh, my bad. Like, because she was doing her thing. Shout out to Michelle Yao. Obviously, she was on the show as well. And just all these phenomenal individuals that I had the opportunity to share a space with. Watching them do their thing just forced you to elevate, truthfully. And like I said before, because the space was built around you, so the uniforms and the gadgets and the screens, you had no choice but to believe, where you were in that specific time.
I love that. I love that. Who has been someone you enjoy working with in the industry of acting?
Oh my Lord. There's been um so many great people, so many great people. Wow, you put me on the spot, man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. For those watching, he has had no context or pregame into any of this. So this is he is professional in his truest form, and he's giving you the great talent and the awesomeness that you see on in his films.
Yeah,
So
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Um, in terms of who, that's a good one. I mean, obviously, I just mentioned Sonequa Martin Green, and Michelle Yao. I'm trying to think, who, what? There's a gentleman by the name of Yannick Bison.
okay,
And he is the long running star of a show called Murdoch Mysteries in Canada. It's been going for like 12 seasons now on the CBC. And it was one of my earlier roles, very, very early. And I just remember being with him, and he had just this grounded presence about him that you couldn't help but just feed off of. And to add to that, he was the executive producer of the show and probably still is. And he could have been, cocky. He could have been, one like that type. You know what I mean?
right.
And we're doing a scene, and he just came and just whispered something in my ear, say, "Yo, da, 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 try this." And I just went, and only somebody who was seasoned like that could give you like a new perspective just so subtly. Didn't call me out, didn't, make a scene of it, just a little whisper in my ear. And it just planted a different seed in my mind of how I could approach the scene, and how I could experience that character. And it was such a simple note, but it's something that truthfully I kind of carry with me today. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's not a
No, that's
But,
good.
shout out to him. I don't know why that came to mind, but that's definitely one. And there's been others as well. I've had the phenomenal opportunity to work with, like Ashanti, Gerard Butler, all these, seasoned people in the entertainment industry who, when I'm on set, I'm just watching. I'm just watching to see what they do, how they do it, and learn. But that's one instance where I kind of walked away with something that I still keep with me today.
You gave me a chill when I think of the scene of Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and it's the infamous scene where Will's father walks out on him, and he was so excited because his dad was going to come home, take him on the road, and they were going to bond. And his father leaves him for the last time. And Will Smith, the article came out that he struggled with that scene
Yes.
until I forget the gentleman who plays the judge and his male figure, the oh my gosh, the bigger gentleman, the large
Yes, yes, yes.
his father figure, um, speaks some words to him and says, "Eyes on me.
Mm,
We are going to get through this role. Eyes on me." And they are able to invoke so much emotion in that one scene that continuously catapults Fresh Prince into the stratosphere. So I love that
mm.
you are getting poured into. You're not being ostracized, and I pray that that continues. Who
Thank you.
who who do you want to work with that you haven't worked with in the entertainment industry?
Hmm. There's a lot of people, man. That list, that list is extensive. The first that
All of
comes to mind right now, only because I just watched the trailer for one of his films recently, Antoine Fuqua.
them.
So obviously he's doing the Michael Jackson biopic right now, but he's someone that for some reason I just feel like, he's one of those dudes that no nonsense, just give it to you straight. This is how we're gonna do it, da da da. But also just a very creative collaborator. Obviously you watch a lot of interviews with him and Denzel and a few other actors. And that seems to be the common theme, a gentleman who knows his work, knows his craft, and is able to bring the best out of his actors. So that's somebody who comes to mind. I mean, and obviously there's the Denzels, there's the Jake Gyllenhaals, there's um, the Scorseses, there's the Regina Hall.
Ooh, yes.
Regina Hall is somebody I would love to work with. She just seems like a lot of fun. Again, somebody still very professional, but can bring that type of energy to the room and to the screen. Man, I can go on. How much time we got?
So sorry. So sorry. So sorry.
All good, man.
Oh my gosh. So I should have paused it. Mr. Romaine, I wanted to say what I wanted to share with you publicly when I read your Fantabulous bio and I checked out your IMDb was that you remind me, and I don't want to say that you're following him in any way, shape, or form, but you remind me of Chadwick Boseman. You remain Chasmic Boseman carving
Whoa.
your own lane in the industry, and you are doing such a diverse set of roles. And again, from Star Trek to dramas to crime and investigation to thought-provoking thrillers, um, you are you to me are pioneering your own lane in the same way Chadwick Boseman made a difference in the industry as well. And so I wanted that's what you remind me of when I see your various roles in the different genres and flavors that you touch on it, and you don't get boxed in. And I appreciate that because there are some actors who need to right when Vin Diesel has locked himself in. I feel right.
Hey,
He's locked himself in because when he tried the daddy daycare thing, it didn't
yeah.
work. It flopped. Right. The same thing with The Rock. Right. The Rock tried Black Adam. It didn't work.
Hmm,
He
hmm.
and so you are not boxed in, and you can diversify and touch every industry this in the same breath that Big Brother Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, has done
Wow.
today. So I wanted to say that to you publicly
Wow.
because you are really you are a titan of industry in my book, and I pray for your continued success in this.
Thank you, sir. Thank
So,
you.
and
That's big. That's big. For many reasons. Obviously, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. He just got his star on the Walk of Fame. But he's someone that I often look at and reference, not because of the big things that he did, but I looked at his career trajectory, and he didn't pop off, so to speak, or he didn't become a household name until much later in his career. If you look at his resume, you'll see, one-off roles here and there, a couple series and things like that. But he had a very extensive resume before he even got to where we came to know him, 42, playing the biopic of Jackie Robinson. And then from Jackie Robinson, obviously, he took off from there. But it was many, many, many years of just hard work, grinding, believing in the work and the craft. I think if my memory serves me correctly, I think he was getting ready to do a theater production um, when he got the call to do Jackie Robinson. So when I read things like that and I see things like that, I say, man, he was a dude really about his craft, really about acting and bringing story and character to his work. So when you say that, honestly, thank you. I really do appreciate it.
we appreciate you here on the Gentleman's Style Podcast. We appreciate you, and I mean that wholeheartedly, man. Do not let this industry box you in. Continue to push the envelope, continue to push against the grain, and to touch different facets because you're killing it. You're killing it. You're killing it. Continue
I'm,
to push the
I'm
envelope.
trying, man. By God's grace, man, I'm trying.
I appreciate that. What do you think? What's the most misunderstood aspect for future young men watching you on these films?
Mhm.
And watching you in the entertainment. What's the most misunderstood aspect of being a black actor in Hollywood today? Have you ever been asked to minimize yourself or shrink yourself? What's something that for up and coming aspiring actors that you'd like to give them an insight with them?
Thank you for asking that question. There's a couple of things that come to mind. Um, what I'll say first before I give any advice, even though I don't really feel like I'm in the position to give it, I'm still learning. But what you said about have you ever been asked to minimize yourself? I've never been asked directly, but there have been instances where you kind of recognize, oh, wait a minute, that could have been done differently, and
Mm,
sometimes you're caught up in the moment and you don't want to rustle any feathers, you don't want to cause any issues on set, you don't want to be labeled, so you kind of just go with the flow, but then when you rethink it and you kind of analyze the situation, you go, no, it could have been done differently, and so what I would encourage young actors, not just black men, but everybody, young actors coming in, is don't be afraid to voice your concerns. Don't be afraid to offer up alternatives to ideas that may not fit with you artistically, And I'm not even talking about things that are like, crazy, because obviously, we don't want to get into that type of stuff. But sometimes there are little things that, if you don't address it, you kind of walk away feeling a little bit, I don't want to say, used, but like not satisfied with what you could have presented, or the lens in which you could have presented a character or a situation. So just don't be afraid to voice that, because there's ways to say it. Just as much as there's ways to say things and ways not to say things. And I think that what's more important is that you're able to voice what needs to be voiced, obviously in an appropriate manner. And then in terms of understanding the industry, I think, and I could be wrong, but many people view this industry as, a lot of bells and whistles, the shiny stuff. We see the red carpets, we see the glitz and the glamour. But truthfully, acting is a very, if I may say, blue collar work.
Mm,
You're always having to go out there and seek opportunities. You're always having to prove yourself. There's long hours, there's long days, and you're always introducing yourself to new groups of people, and it's very taxing on the body at times. You're bringing yourself to everything. If you're doing it right, you're bringing yourself to everything, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and then you have to go back and reset and then do it all over again. So those are the things that I hope young actors keep in mind, is that, keep yourself number one, keep your spirit, keep your body and mind as the number one focus. Because if you don't have that, you don't have anything else. So I would say focus on that, focus on your intention, the reason why you want to do this work, and then go from there.
absolutely. Absolutely. Do you believe it started in Montego Bay, Jamaica for you, and then off to Canada, and now the incredible growth that you've had? With that experience, do you believe Canadian actors face unique challenges compared to their US counterparts? Do you feel any division there?
Um, Division is a strong word.
Okay. Okay. Look, fair enough.
But I do recognize that there are differences, in the landscape of the industry on both sides. Truthfully, I've been able to see both sides, and I can understand why it is that way. Canada is very much trying to build its own industry, and strive on its own, but we are very easily dwarfed by our big brother America. And when you start to kind of dig into it a little bit deeper, it really boils down to commerce. People say show business, and it's very much that. There's a big business behind the show. And when you just look at the numbers, for example, companies are looking for advertising space, and they want to spend their advertising dollars where eyes are, where the numbers are. So, just as an example, California, the state of California, I believe the population is about 34 to 36 million just in that state alone. That's the population, roughly the population of Canada. So when we talk about like diversity and numbers and viewership and all those things, Canada, just by its nature, we just don't have that amount of people to sustain the infrastructure in the industry. And there are a few other facets that are involved in that as well, just in terms of like government funding and things like that. And I'll give you an example. A lot of the films and a lot of productions that come out of here, are done through public dollars. So grants and things like that come from the government. Whereas in the US, a lot of their productions, if not all of their productions, are private dollars. So I'll use a company like Bloomhouse, for example. I'm not sure if you know who they are, but they do a lot of indie horror films and things like that. They on average will put out maybe 2 to 3 million on a project and just go, I'll try this one, I'll try that one, I'll try that one, knowing that one of those projects, will garner them, 30, 40 million in the box office or in sales. And then they'll just repeat the process. We just don't have that type of money flowing through the industry here. So things might take a little bit longer. They might not be as experimental or grand, if you will. So there's those type of elements that differentiate us from America. And it's not intentional, it's just the nature of things. And so when you come to that understanding, it's not really about division, it's more about understanding what the issue is and trying to see how you can navigate that as best as possible.
Absolutely. Has there ever been a role that you had to turn away or say, "Hey, I'll address this later on, or in the future I'll come back to it," because the money wasn't right, or the money wasn't there, or the things that you didn't want to compromise on weren't in place?
Mm.
Did you ever have you had that experience yet?
Yeah, yeah, I've had that numerous times, you know. But as I mentioned earlier, it wasn't until, later on in my career that I developed the confidence to be like, no, that's not for me, and I
Mm,
think that's very important for artists to have. And it's no disrespect or disregard for other creatives and the projects that are being made, but you as an artist have to know where your strengths lie and the type of stories that you want to champion and you want to facilitate, and then from that lens you can make that decision. And I think the sooner you can make those type of decisions, I think the better off you'll be. And yeah, things have been presented to me, and again, very grateful that they were. But it was just like, this is not for me at this time. And like I said before, there's ways to say things. It's not always about what you say, but how you say it. And thankfully, I was able to communicate that to the creatives that were involved, and it was mutual and it was understanding, and it left that door open for other opportunities, which I'm also grateful for.
absolutely. What's one role that you had to turn down? What's one stereotype? I'll chime this up for you. I remember one actor. I've heard several actors have their lane, and one actor he says, "I don't. I like to play the villain," and the reason is because he's married. He likes to play the villain because there's no love scene, there's no kissing scene, there's no right, and he's still in his lane. This is what he won't compromise in, so that he also maintains that commitment to his wife,
Mm,
and so that he doesn't ever have to have those awkward moments where there's a kissing scene or an intimate scene and explain, to his fans, to his followers, or anybody, I
yeah.
just want to just make me the villain, make me the bad guy. I'm perfectly fine in that lane. What's one stereotype you refuse to play on screen, no matter the paycheck? Is there anything? And you probably
Oh,
haven't.
wow.
You probably haven't. Defined yourself in that way yet. Maybe I don't know.
Huh. I don't think I've been presented any stereotypes.
Okay.
If I'm being completely honest. I'm really trying to think through that I wouldn't.
Your resume is extensive, so he's going through a history, y'all. He's going through a real history.
No, I'm really trying to think. Like, you know, I, I'm trying to. And if we're thinking stereotypes, the obvious ones are gonna be like, the thug, or like, going down that avenue. I don't know what it is, but I don't think I've ever been offered those type of roles. I might not have that thug aura. You know what I'm saying? But no, I don't think I've ever had to turn down those type of roles, truthfully.
Good deal. Good deal. I don't have the thug aura either. I've never been a thug. I tried it. I tried it in high school. It didn't work.
I
It
try
didn't
I
work.
tried it too, but my mom has something to say about it. So, we had to we had to start that ASAP.
That's huge. That's huge. As I appreciate you again, brother. That means a lot. That means a lot to say because um, when I think of you, I think of big time celebrities. I see you big time already, even bigger than what you are now. Where another actor, he's like, I don't. Another actor, he said, I don't do films where you're gonna whitewash a character, or I don't.
Mm,
I don't do films where you're going to perpetuate a stereotype of black women. So even not for himself, he's looking out for women,
Hmm.
right? And he's saying, I don't want to take part in any films where you're going to put or give or continue a stereotype or continue to perpetuate this stance
Hmm.
on this topic. I'm not a part of that. So
Mm.
I appreciate you,
Let me
and
s-
I'm
let me
glad.
let me say this real quick, just on that topic, and it kind of ties into what you asked me earlier about what you would tell younger actors or people starting out. Read when you have the opportunity, and sometimes you don't get it in an audition, you get very limited information, but sometimes you got to read between the lines. And what I mean by that is you got to say, okay, if this is the scenario that they've established for you in this little bit of information, because it's a creative space, how could this change? And what avenue or what path could this go down should they want to explore it a little bit further? You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you almost have to have a bit of foresight to say, okay, this is this, but if it were to be expanded or explored or shifted or changed in some way by the writer, the director, the other actors in the scene, the producer, the network, uh, how could this affect you as an artist and the character? And then from that place, you make a decision. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So there's a big component of having discernment, and sometimes it doesn't happen, but it's just to put yourself in that mind frame to say, okay, if it were to go in this direction, would I be comfortable with it? And that goes for everybody, every artist, because a lot of what we do is bringing someone else's vision to life. We just got to be aware of what that vision is in its entirety or what it could be.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. I want to lean into your filmmaking experience because again, you're an actor, but you're also you're universal tool. You can do it all, right? You're a filmmaker. And
Yes,
so
sir.
what's the most controversial story you'd love to tell if given full creative freedom, unlimited budget? What
Ooh,
story would you like to tell and put out there that really speaks to you?
wow. Man, I really should have asked you for the questions before I jumped on here,
I'm
man.
so sorry. I'm so
No,
sorry.
no, no, I'm playing. I'm playing. That's really good. That's really good. There are so many stories, and I know that that's a very kind of easy answer, but there's so many. But where my mind goes to right now is uh is an individual that oddly enough I would actually like to play.
Okay.
And if I had the budget to do it myself, I would. And that individual, um, actually, before I give you the name, can I go back a little bit and just give you a little bit of a backstory?
Please, you can. Absolutely.
So, a few years back, I'm walking in the bookstore. I got some friends with me. I can't remember what we're doing, but we're in the bookstore, we chilling. And then a friend goes, shows me this book and goes, "Oh, you kind of remind me of this person." And so I look at the book and I laugh. I'm like, all right, chill, relax. Like I can see a little bit. We both light skinned, but whatever. And I kind of forget about it for the day. But then I kind of go back home and truthfully, I was a little bit embarrassed because I didn't know who this person was. And I did a little bit of research, looked them up, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a really interesting story, a very interesting individual. And again, at the time, a little bit embarrassed to say, but I didn't have any idea who they were because at the time, that sport wasn't really in my wheelhouse. I'm a soccer guy, I play soccer, I watch football. But this individual in their sport wasn't really on my radar. So after doing some research, I'm like, yeah, I think I kind of see it. I wouldn't mind playing this guy, not because of a little bit of the resemblance, but also because of his story and the resilience that he had and the life experience and quite honestly, some of the records that he has, I'm like, this is a story that needs to be told. And the gentleman goes by the name of Arthur Ashe. And for those who don't know, he was the first Black man to win Wimbledon. And unfortunately, he passed away from AIDS in his early 40s, after a blood transfusion. There was an issue with the blood, and that led to his ultimate demise. But in the time that he was here, he lived a very full life. As an activist, obviously a tennis player, a champion for Black men and rights for all humankind. And so when I really dug into his story, it really resonated with me. And so ever since then, he's kind of been on my radar. So if I had the budget to do it on my own, that would be the story that I would tell.
I told y'all. I told y'all. I knew it. I saw it. Right? Chadwick Boseman, 42. Arthur Ashe. You see it. You see. I told y'all.
I'm just saying. But
That
yeah,
is
that's that dude, man. Like, I'm gonna give you a little something real quick. Hold on.
okay. Okay. This is Gentleman Style Podcast where we get the tea. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. So you're
I'm
digging
in
into
there.
his mind.
I'm in there.
You're in
I'm
his
in there,
head.
man. Yeah. So like from that day, man, I've been enamored with the guy. I can't lie. The way he thinks, the way he went about life, how he operated as an individual, even under pressure and tension and the diagnosis of AIDS. For those who don't know the story, he went for quite a while not announcing it. Like, people didn't know. And it was only because a journalist had kind of called, a journalist friend of his questioned him about it, and then he started to feel the pressure publicly, and so he came out and made that announcement. But he's the type of person that, if it weren't for that, I have a feeling he would have kind of went on with his life without making a show of it or letting people know, and just let it be what it was. Because he had every right, as far as I'm concerned, to be upset and angry, and you know it could have went a different way.
Mhm.
But how he approached it, I think, is a great example of just pure resilience, and, if I'm being honest, faith as well.
Yes, sir. With something like that, with a story so profound, as a film and as a filmmaker, how would you which one would you prioritize for the audience first? Would it be the impact and the things that he has done for the world and in our lives, or personal expression? Um, Personal expression meaning letting them see Arthur Ashe, but also Romaine Waite in the character, right? I think of Ray Charles, right?
Mm,
And then Jamie Foxx doing Ray Charles.
right.
Jamie Foxx is already musically talented. Romaine Waite is already talented. So there's a personal expression within you already. And now you're telling Mr. Ash's story through your personal expression. Which, as a filmmaker, which one do you prioritize more? How do you find a balance? I guess that's a better question, I think.
I think with someone like him, I think, first and foremost, you want to honor the legacy.
Yes.
From my understanding, his wife and daughter are still alive, and so, and obviously some other family members as well. And so you want to ensure that those individuals see him in the work. you know Whether it's how he operated or how he spoke behind closed doors, you know down to how he held his racket, or how they interacted with him, how he ate his meals, when he ate his meals. I think that's the number one thing. Anytime you're approaching somebody's life and their legacy, you want to ensure that those that are still alive, um, can see the grace, and see the respect that went into the work. Um, anything like that, self would have to be removed, 100% removed. Yes, you are bringing yourself to it physically, but you want to be the vessel that champions that story, and whatever needs to come through you can hopefully come through you. So to answer your question, I think it would be more about him, what he did and how he did it, than it would be about me and anything that I could do. You know.
Absolutely, absolutely. What would make that a success to you? What would you want the family to say when you produce something so profound about his life? What would you want the family to say? Man, you portrayed my son, my husband, whatever. You portrayed him to the T, or you nail it. What would you want the family to feel? What kind of emotions would you want to invoke?
What just came to mind when you say that, I would want them to say, not even portrayed. I want them to say, "Oh, that's him."
Yeah, huge, 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 huge.
You know, I think having those who know him best or knew him best say something like that,
That's
you
a win.
know, that's it. That's it.
That-
You gotta honor it. You gotta
yeah,
honor it. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. That again, that like I saw the film Bob Marley, and they
Oh,
brought the family in and his brother and his son Ziggy, and they coast they this is my father.
yes.
So
Yes, big,
I'm with
big co-sign on that. And then, obviously that movie for me is very special because, I have to big up all of my Jamaican them in I place, because it's a Jamaica, yo, yard man thing, No, but yo, I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed that movie. Just the fact that we were able to bring Jamaica onto the screen. Obviously, we know what's going on with Jamaica right now. Hurricane Melissa relief is very, very much needed. But Jamaica has become so much a part of the culture. Not just Black culture, but I feel like just society on a whole. Whether it's because of Usain Bolt or Bob Marley or anybody else in between, Shensia, whoever. It's so important that we're able to tell these type of stories authentically. And introduce people to Jamaica in a way that they haven't seen before. And I think that they did a wonderful job in that portrayal. There's some scenes in that movie that still sit with me today, and I wish they did more of some of those. But it's definitely a step in the right direction.
I I appreciate that film so much because they touched on how diverse Bob Marley was,
Mm,
but they didn't linger, and I'm grateful for this. They didn't linger on um the adultery side. I'm
mm,
glad they didn't sit with that. They brought it up, they showed it, but they didn't sit there with it.
right, right.
They continued to show. Again, that doesn't alleviate all the great. When you're talking about a political war
Mm-hmm,
between politics and citizen and
mm-hmm,
unifying the two,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
that's beyond words, right?
mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that film so much.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's a very good point because one thing I like to, and this is something that someone mentioned to me, is that, you're more than your mistakes, and it's that simple. It's like, we're all human, we all do things, we all make mistakes, and it's how do you come back from that? What do you do after, to either make it right or to, do something different or to learn from it? But you're more than your mistakes, and I think that's something that we saw in that film. We didn't, like you said, we didn't ignore it, but we showed that he was more than that.
Yes, yes, bigger than that, larger
Hmm.
than life.
Hmm. Hmm.
Absolutely. But as a filmmaker, I want to get controversial here. I want to speak to artificial intelligence is a new buzzword, AI, and one of the things that is posing a risk to professionals like yourself. You, they're now saying, "Hey, I can take this AI image and artificial intelligence. I can create a Romaine Waite, and I can take his voice, I can take his acting skills, and I can train this AI model to now do films." Um, how do you feel about streaming platforms and big tech and big tech being introduced in film? How do you feel about these platforms? Do you feel they're elevating the industry and making it better, or do you feel they're diluting the craft of acting and taking away from it, um, and negatively impacting your industry?
First and foremost, I do believe that it takes away, well, at least in the capacity that we're talking about, it takes away from that human element. It
Yes.
takes away from the craft. It takes away from the work that people do, the unseen work that people do, and bring to the screen for the enjoyment of the audience. But the truth is, technology has always been a part of the filmmaking space. The only way that it's not involved in terms of my work specifically as an actor is through theater. But with film and television, technology has always been there. Whether in production, post production, technology has made things, easier, more accessible for us. And I think what we're just seeing now is AI presenting it in a different way. And what I mean by that is that that's the lens in which it's being sold to us. And I think, like anything, if approached with bad intention, it can be something that's not beneficial to anybody, and it turns into this thing that people don't like and want to shy away from. But if it's approached with a good intention and there are some good use cases, then I can see it becoming beneficial for creatives on a whole. It's only when you see companies want to remove actors from the process, that's when it becomes very, very dangerous. I think the other day they had made an announcement about some AI actress. I can't remember what the name they used. I think it was Tilly or something like that. And they introduced her as an AI actress, and they want to start putting her in films. Um, I think if we shifted the focus a little bit, I don't know if you recall, but there was a movie a couple years ago. I think Mahershala Ali was in it, and there was a girl that in that movie that was like fully animated, but the word AI wasn't used. But if you look at her and you look at this Tilly girl, it's like, oh, we kind of been doing this already. We're presenting it in the AI lens. And then even if you think about a big franchise film like Fast and the Furious, when Paul Walker had passed away
Yes.
during the filming of that project, they used technology to finish the film to bring him back to life, essentially. I know his brother was involved in some of that as well, but it was a lot of animation and technology that was used to make him feel lifelike in portions of that film. So I just say that to say, like, technology in itself is not a bad thing. It's those using it and the intention behind it that can make it something not good
Yeah.
for those of us that are about the craft and the work in this industry.
Absolutely. If you guys have no idea what Mr. White is talking about, in the Fast and Furious franchise, when Mr. Paul Walker passed away, unfortunately,
Yes,
his brother was involved, and they did shots where it's all it's CGI, right? It's CGI, it's animation, but in other shots where they couldn't replace him physically, his brother would do, I think,
was
like a hug scene. There was
a
a hug
body double.
scene,
Yeah, a body double.
a body double. They used the
Yeah,
body, and it's the back of his head. It's not
yeah.
the face. Um, so not removing the actual actor, I can respect that. So is there a dollar amount where someone could offer you to say, Mr. Wait, could I use your likeness in this film? I'm still going to cut you your checks, I'm still going to cut you your royalties, um but I need your likeness for this film because nobody fits this character but you, um or is it a complete no go, like no, I'm either gonna be in it because also too, again, being pulled in so many different directions as you are, that kind of works to your advantage if you can, not like Chadwick Boseman, like you said earlier, you can be on a theater play, or you can be on Broadway, or you could be promoting another great film that you're doing, um and still continue the great work that you're doing on another production using your avatar, let's say that.
Mm.
um um any thoughts there?
Ah, man, there's so much that comes with that. Because if you are going to give someone the opportunity to use your likeness, where does that end? What did they do with your likeness? You know what I'm saying? And so now you're in a situation where, well, you said we can use it, and now you're like, that's not me, and maybe not you physically, but maybe not you in terms of what you represent, like what we were talking about earlier. I think there's more to it than just, oh, you can use my likeness. And I'm sure, yes, you can maybe write it in contractually and do all that kind of stuff, but there's just something about it for me that takes away from the meaning of the work. For me, it's the doing of it that makes it all worth it, truthfully. Um, because once it's between our work is between action and cut. And I'm speaking specifically about film and television. But before that and after that, there's so much that goes into it. And so sometimes it feels like we only have a little bit of room, to do what it is that we want to do. There's so much you got to get through to get to it. And then there's so much that happens afterwards when you're finished with it. There's music, editing, this, that, and the other. And so to fight for that little bit and then just to give it away, it's like, what's the point?
What's the
You know what
point?
I mean? Mind you, again, that's just specifically film and television, which is why I always say theater is for the actor. That's 100% the actor's medium. That's where you really get to flex that muscle. Film is more so the director's medium because it's about a specific vision and bringing that to realization. And then TV is for the writer because there's a longer period of time for the story to unfold, for words to be said, and for characters to have a lived experience. So amongst those three, or sorry, those last two, those aren't really, yes, there's actors involved, but we're there to facilitate other individuals' visions of a story. Versus with theater, yes, the words are going to be written by a writer or something else, but once you're on stage, you're on stage. There's no stop and start, there's no cut and action. You just go. And if there's an intermission, then you stop. But beyond that, you just go, and that's where you really get to flex that muscle, and have the opportunity to do that character exploration and growth, that I think every actor strives for or wants to be able to facilitate. So to answer your question, I don't know if there's a dollar amount. I don't know. I don't know. If they hit me with the billions, then I don't care. I'm kidding. if we talking Jeff Bezos, then I don't know. If
Elon
we
Musk,
talking that Elon Musk, then I don't know.
that package, man, that $1 trillion. Hey, we'll give you $1 trillion to use your likeness.
Lord have mercy. We'll talk after. We'll talk after.
That's fair. We'll we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
When we get there.
Absolutely. This has been a phenomenal conversation, and I apologize to you, Mr. Wade. I apologize to the audience watching this, for the network issues. The network issues is gonna be there, but I appreciate you all sticking through. I appreciate you, Mr. Rain, Mr. Wade. Two final questions. I'm gonna get you out on this. Um, what what's your next upcoming project? What do you got in the works? What's in the hopper? If you can share, please share. What are you most proud of coming out right now?
Oh wow. I actually have two holiday films coming out this year. One is going to be on OWN. called Very Merry Mystery. You'll see me alongside Tristan McWilds and a few other, fantastic actors. I also have another holiday movie coming out on Lifetime, and that one is going to be, I can't recall. It's going to be sometime in mid-December. Forgive me, I can't remember the date right now. But it's called Jingle All the Way to Love. Jingle All the Way to Love. So that's on Lifetime, and then another one on OWN. But if you look it up and Google it, I'm sure you'll be able to find those. So you can check me out there. I'm also continually writing. I've been taking on writing for the past couple of years. So I got a couple of things that I'm working on that I'm hoping to bring to fruition in the next couple of years, if not sooner. Budget permitting. But that's where you can see me on OWN and on Lifetime.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my last question is: you've shared nuggets for our young men, our future aspiring actors, our future leaders. What would you've given nuggets throughout this whole conversation? If you had one more nugget in the hat, what would you say to that young man watching you who feels like the economy's crap, their back is against the wall, they can't achieve success in this day and age in 2025 going into 2026? What would you say to that young man watching you right now if you could leave him some encouraging words?
The only word that comes to mind right now is consistency. And truthfully, if there's anything that you want and you truly want it and you desire it, there's nothing that's going to stop you from getting it. Rain, sun, shine, hail, flood, snow, a flat tire. Yeah, and these are all things that I had to go through, by the way, to get to auditions. But there's going to be nothing that's going to stop you from it, and it's that consistent effort that chips away at it, that constantly chips away at it. You almost have to get into this automatic mode where you're not even really thinking about it. You're not even thinking about where you're trying to go or where you're coming from. You're just doing that thing. And ultimately, when you look up, you're going to get somewhere. I remember somebody saying, the fastest swimmer is not looking at the finish line. They just have their head down and they're just going, just swim, boom, 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 boom. And then eventually, when you get that one last one, boom, then you hit the finish line. So it's not about watching where you're going. It's about being invested in the work that you're doing in the moment. So consistency is key. Stay focused and have faith.
Absolutely. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Huge. All right, y'all. We gotta let this incredible man go. He has many more lives to change, many more films to produce, and many more gigs to look at. He has a long list, a long script. But he's creating change every single day. And sir, Mr. Waite, I want to say this to you publicly: don't
Mm.
ever quit. We
Oh,
need you.
come on now.
We
Come on
need you.
now. I appreciate you, sir. I
Appreciate.
appreciate you very, very much, man.
How can people tune in? How can people connect with you?
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm on Instagram at Romaine Waite underscore at Romaine Waite underscore. That's where I post a lot of my projects and the things that I'm working on. Truthfully, I'm not there often, but when I am there, I'm dropping some good stuff. But yeah, I'm always put my details up there in terms of what I'm doing, what's coming out, and what people can look forward to.
Absolutely. Connect, 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 y'all. All right, y'all. We got to let this incredible man go. He has many more lives to change, but connect, 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 get on board. Check him out. He is phenomenal. He is phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. I can't think of a better word. I was trying to think of a better word. There's nothing better than that.
Hey, listen, man. Again, shout out to you as well, man. It's very important to have these type of platforms to speak about positivity and things that are going to enlighten people and move them forward in a positive way. So thank you for what you do. Keep doing it, man. You're doing it well.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot. Ah, I got to stamp y'all. Gotta
Yeah.
stamp. That's a legit. Y'all heard it here first. Like we end. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Like we end every show. Take care of your friends. Take care of your family. And always, always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite host, and the incredible, the amazing Mr. Romaine Waite signing off. Check him out in theaters, y'all. Love you. Bye.